Ms. Lummis? Ms. Lummis, aye. Ms. Duckworth, no. Mr. Graham, aye. Mr. Blumenthal, no.
On this vote, the yeas are 53, the nays are 45, and the nomination is confirmed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table, and the President will be immediately notified of the Senate's actions. Under the previous order, the Senate will resume legislative session and resume consideration of S-1582, which the clerk will report.
Calendar number 66, S-1582, a bill to provide for the regulation of payment stable coins and for other purposes.
The clerk will read the title of the bill for the third time.
Calendar number 66, S-1582, a bill to provide for the regulation of payment stablecoins and for other purposes.
The question is on passage of the bill as amended. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett.
No.
Mrs. Blackburn. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blunt Rochester. Mr. Booker. Mr. Bozeman. Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, wait, okay. Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin, Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Mr. Rono, Mr. Hoven, Mr. Husted, Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Langford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young. Senators voting in the affirmative: Barrasso, Blackburn, Booker, Bozeman, Capito, Cassidy, Kramer, Cruz, Curtis, Fetterman, Gallego, Gillibrand, Graham, Grassley, Haggerty, Heinrich, Hickenlooper, Husted, Hyde-Smith, Johnson, Justice, Kennedy, Kim, Langford, Lee, Lummis, Marshall, McConnell, Moody, Moran, Moreno, Mullen, Ossoff, Paul, Rosen, Schmidt, Scott of South Carolina, Slotkin, Sullivan, Tillis, Warner, Warnock, Wicker. Mr. McCormick, aye. Mr. Young, aye. Ms. Ernst, aye. Mrs. Britt, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Bennett, Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Cantwell, Duckworth, Durbin, Hirono, Kane, King, Klobuchar, Markey, Murphy, Murray, Peters, Reed, Sanders, Schumer, Shaheen, Smith, Welch, Wyden. Mr. Van Hollen. Mr. Van Hollen, no. Mr. Schiff, aye. Mr. Hoven, aye. Mr. Sheehy, aye. Mr. Crapo, aye. Mr. Markley, no. Mr. Rounds, aye. Ms. Warren, no. Mr. Banks, aye. Mrs. Fisher, aye. Ms. Also Brooks, aye. Mr. Coons, no. Ms. Cortez Masto, aye. Ms. Collins, aye. Mr. Lujan, aye. Ms. Baldwin, no. Mr. Thune, aye. Mr. Daines, aye. Mr. Cornyn, aye. Mr. Padilla, aye. Ms. Hassan, aye. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Mr. Schatz, no. Ms. Murkowski, aye. Mr. Tuberville, aye. Mr. Scott of Florida, aye. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Hawley, no. Mr. Risch. Mr. Risch, aye. Mr. Ricketts. Mr. Ricketts, aye. Mr. Budd, aye. Mr. Paul, no.
The yeas are 68, the nays are 30. The bill as amended is passed.
Mr. President,
Senator from Tennessee.
I ask unanimous consent that the Senate be in a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that the Senate now proceed to the en bloc consideration of the following resolutions which are at the desk. Senate Resolution 284, Senate Resolution 285, Senate Resolution 286.
Is there an objection to proceeding to the measures en bloc? Without objection. The Senate will proceed en bloc.
I ask unanimous consent that the resolutions be agreed to, the preambles be agreed to, and that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, all en bloc.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business today, it stand adjourned until 11 a.m. on Wednesday, June 18th. That following the prayer and the pledge, the morning hour be deemed expired, the journal of proceedings be approved to date, the time for the two leaders be reserved for their use later in the day, morning business be closed, and the Senate proceed to executive session and resume consideration of calendar number 130, Rodney Scott. Further, notwithstanding Rule 22 at 12 o'clock noon, the Senate vote on the motion to invoke cloture on the Scott nomination, and following the cloture vote, the Senate vote on confirmation of executive calendar number 99, Olivia Trusty. Further, if cloture is invoked on the Scott nomination, all post-cloture time be expired, and the Senate vote on confirmation of the nomination at 1:45. Finally, if any nominations are confirmed during Wednesday's session of the Senate, the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, and the President be immediately notified of the Senate's action.
Without objection.
If there's no further business to come before the Senate, I ask that it stand adjourned under the previous order following the remarks of my colleagues.
Without objection.
One more thing.
Mr. President, I have 3 requests for committees to meet during today's session of the Senate. They have the approval of the majority and minority leaders.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
The Senator from Minnesota.
Mr. President, I rise today with my colleague from Minnesota, Senator Smith, to honor 2 Minnesotans who were friends of ours, who were taken from us this weekend in a shocking act of political violence. Representative Melissa Hortman, our former Speaker of the House, and her husband, Mark Hortman. I'm also continuing to pray for State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, who survived a brutal assassination attempt. John took 9 bullets and Yvette took 8, and they are continuing to recover in the hospital. I've been in touch with Yvette, and she is grateful for the outpouring of support from all over the country for their family. And I want to extend my enormous gratitude to the hundreds and hundreds of local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly over the course of a 43-hour manhunt to apprehend the suspect. They ran toward the danger. They risked their lives. And because of their bravery and diligence, our state was able to breathe a sigh of relief Sunday night, knowing that this man was no longer at large. The local officers from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, also stopped further assassinations, along with other officers, in the moment by going over to check on legislators after learning about what had happened at Senator Hoffman's house. We now know that the assassin went to 2 other legislators' home in between the 2 shootings that night, and in one case sped off after being spotted by the police. While it was too late to save Melissa and Mark, the officer's decision to check on their house allowed them to spot the assassin, separate him from his vehicle, and begin the manhunt. But right now, we want to focus on who Melissa and Mark were as people. They were great neighbors, wonderful friends, and great parents to their beloved children, Sophie and Colin. Melissa is someone that I wish the whole Senate and the whole nation knew. We treasured her in Minnesota. She was the epitome of what you want in a public servant. She went into it for all the right reasons. She grew up in Spring Lake Park in Andover, Minnesota, working at her family's used auto parts company in Blaine in the summers. After leaving for college, she came back to Minnesota for law school and began her career in our state. She was always devoted to her community. She was a Girl Scout leader and taught Sunday school at her local Catholic church. And she was always one of the first to raise her hand when someone needed a volunteer for, well, just about anything, including training service dogs for veterans. One of them, Gilbert, was just too friendly for service because he couldn't just focus on one person. And so their family adopted him and loved him very much. Sadly, he was shot that night, and the two children had to make the decision to put him down this weekend. How they love that dog. Melissa and I first ran for public office around the same time, both with little kids, me for county attorney's office, her for the state legislature. That's how I got to know her. I was the county attorney, she was running for legislature. We went door to door together, and it seemed like she knew everyone in the district already. She was elected in 2004 and served in the Minnesota House for 20 years, and she left a lasting impact. As a legislator, she authored legislation that created Minnesota's solar energy standard. As minority leader, she guided her caucus with conviction and a sense of humor, and she wasn't afraid to call out the all-male card game taking place during debates. When her colleagues chose to make her the speaker, her first order of business was getting rid of the speaker's mute button. As she said at the time, "I have a gavel, and a gavel is good enough for me." Melissa was one of the most consequential speakers in the history of our state. She knew no limits in terms of trying to get people together, trying to get things done. And while I cannot believe she is gone, Minnesotans will be feeling the impact of her leadership forever. When a Minnesota student gets a free school lunch, that's Melissa. When a Minnesota parent is able to take paid leave to spend those early, precious moments with a newborn, that's Melissa. When a Minnesota voter casts a ballot without facing unfair discrimination, that's Melissa. When a woman is able to access reproductive care in our state, that's Melissa. And when our state achieves 100% clean energy by 2040, that will be because of Melissa. And when we had a tied state house this year, it was Melissa who forged a power sharing agreement and a budget with her Republican counterpart. She was a generational leader, and she led